panel after that wonderful keynote address. Welcome to our first panel for the Muslim Futures Conference. Our first speaker today, and I should say I'm Maria Dakake. I'm a member of the steering committee for the Abu Suleiman Center, and very happy to be able to participate in this conference. The first speaker on our panel is Sofia Tsourlaki. Sofia Tsourlaki has completed her PhD, has just completed her PhD research in the Department of Religions and Philosophies at SOAS University in London. Her broader research interests include the mediatization of Islam and the digitalization of religious authority. Her publications include work on the politicization of the mosque in progressive Islamic thought, and a study on the role of artificial intelligence in Sunni fatwa issuance in Dubai and Egypt. Alongside her academic research, she teaches in the areas of philosophy and religion and is active in public-facing scholarship. She maintains a humanities-focused YouTube channel aimed at making Islamic studies accessible to lay Muslim audiences and fostering dialogue between Muslim and non-Muslim communities. Today, her talk is entitled Algorithmic Modernity and Islamic Tradition, Muslim Lived Experiences with Artificial Intelligence. Please join me in welcoming Sofia Tsourlaki.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. And first of all, thank you to all of you that you made sure that I will be here today. I'm really honored. I want to show the first part of the presentation. So this is the first part because it couldn't be an AI-related discussion without an AI-generated image. Okay. So I will tell you a little bit about how I got totally accidentally involved with this genre, if you want. So it was 2019, was preparing my PhD proposal, and then I saw in the news that there is an AI service in Dubai that you can just take fatwas from. And I was very intrigued. And everyone I was asking around me, nobody had any clue. Nobody could help me or tell me what was going on. So I started digging, which is what researchers do, right? This resulted, fast forward, in 2022, I published an article on this research. Very quickly, because it's not the topic of today, Dubai, in the wider movement of UAE, that they want to become, or they promote themselves as the technology of the future. They had created this online service. Anyone could use it. I used it during the research, where you could just type any question and then it will give you the available fatwas. But what was the case? Was the case that AI was generating the fatwas? Not really. There was a bank of fatwas that the institution that ran the system had decided that they are appropriate and correct, and that's what you could take from. At the same time, God blessed me to meet people from Egypt that they were working on a similar project. Now, mind you, the announcement of the Dubai service was in October 2019. January 2020, it was when the Al-Azhar Institute for Fatwa announced their own plans. Small note, until today, these plans are still plans in Egypt. They have not been materialized. But the announcement came. Now, those of us that we know I will say it in a British slang, the beef between the Arabian authorities and the Egyptian Al-Azhar authorities of especially attracting or serving Muslims of diaspora, I believe that this announcement was just to catch the news. Egyptian program not yet has come to realization. Dubai project didn't live long. Until March 2022, it didn't exist anymore. I couldn't find it anywhere. When I contacted the relevant authorities to tell me what happened, why it didn't work, I didn't receive any response. It is fair to assume that people didn't really like it. So that's how everything started. The whole question of AI in Islam is very particular because if you see publications from other religions, especially Abrahamic religions, that they do have some kind of structure, hierarchies. In Christianity, priests etc., there is a huge fear that what will happen if AI will replace preachers and priests. With Islam, that we don't have official authoritative structures. We do have the ulama, but we don't have officially appointed. Dynamics are very different. So what happens with Muslims? Based on my research, you saw that one of the findings of the research was that AI is being embraced by authorities in Islam, be it institutions up to preachers or social media famous people. What happens is that, we will go here now. Okay, so it is being embraced. The latest development is in Saudi Arabia. For those of you that you don't know it, I will run you here. So this is the Manara robot, we like to call it. Manara, now it runs with software of Manara 2, which is in the mosque in Mecca. Now, among other things, because it does other things, theoretically it helps you to navigate the place, etc. It has a multilingual support, and it does offer you pre-verified fatwas. I assume we all understand the danger here. When you have an authority that filters the fatwas, fatawa in Arabic, and gives you whatever the institution considers to be correct, there is an issue in pluralism, in different sects, in different perspectives. So the first thing, AI, it's the first technological development that the authorities of Islam embraced immediately. There was no backlash. Whereas with internet, those of us that were a little bit not that young, we remember that at the beginning of the internet, there were hesitations before it will be embraced. Previous generations also, they might remember what happened with television and radio before the scholars will start producing the tapes, and they have their own personal shows, TV shows, especially in North Africa. AI, no reaction whatsoever. I searched, and in the interviews I had with lay believers, nobody could mention or could remember any authority, advising against it. How did lay Muslims, because my work, even with my PhD, my general work, if I can put it under one umbrella, is contemporary Islam and Muslims. What I care is what happens to the lay believers. They don't really like this embracing of AI by the scholars, both based on interviews, but also on social media research. Especially those of you that you know about Reddit. Reddit has huge conversations. Lay Muslims were negative on seeing preachers and authorities embracing AI. The line that came repetitively is, if I want AI, I can do it myself. From the scholar, I want the human element. So if I see the work of the scholar, be it AI produced or touched, I don't like it. There were ethical concerns about deviation of scholars from their preaching. So there is a very popular Salafi/neo-Salafi preacher that I will not mention the name for purposes of safety and security, but he's very, very, very famous worldwide, very amiable in his presentations. Theoretically, he advocates the idea that images is not Islamic, should be avoided, etc. But he was the first one that he employed AI-generated videos, teaching Sira, teaching elements of Islam. So the believers are somehow confused. They're like, you tell us not to, but you are doing it. There's an issue there. This is in relation to the believers and how they see the authorities using AI. I skipped a slide, and I had to mention at the beginning, every time I interview lay believers about artificial intelligence and I ask them to tell me what do they understand by that, they understand LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever. They are fully aware, everyone is fully aware that artificial intelligence can, let's say, power these robots that deliver your foods here, and I really like them and I would follow them to take picture of them. But when it comes to Muslim identity, faith, AI is synonymous to ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever. So One element is they don't like seeing their authorities or preachers or imams or ulama to use AI, but do they use it? And here is something very interesting. The responses of the believers were gendered. So there was a good 20% of male interviewees that they told me, no, absolutely no, I will never touch it. It's beyond me. There is no spirituality. I don't do it. 0% of women. Female Muslims, they were, yeah, I use it daily. And here is the element of, okay, first of all, we shouldn't approach the Ummah as one thing because lived experiences differ. But why are women more prone not only to use AI, but to admit it and support it? We go back to the element of education. A large number of female Muslims as children do not receive any education. They learn about their religion by seeing their family. Those that they do, and that relates to the keynote speaker earlier, remember the picture with the Quran, with the lyrics? So those that they do, those girls that are being sent to Muslim schools, they learn to essentially reproduce the sounds of Quran, but not to read the Quran. They don't know how to read the Quran. So there is a huge gap between religious education between boys and girls, and later these become men and women. The other element that makes women more prone is uncomfortable questions. It is generally confirmed in academia that not every woman, every Muslim woman feels comfortable in the mosque. Beyond the spatial element, it is the connection with the imam. You don't feel comfortable talking about menstruation. You don't feel comfortable talking about intimate moments. And these women don't have anyone to talk about. There is, alhamdulillah, there is an emergence of feminist Islam now that we do have, thank God, good female academics that they can produce knowledge about Islam. But how the lay woman in her house in Karachi, for example, will connect to these scholars, it's difficult. AI bridges that. So gender responses when it comes to AI. Overall, people do use it. People, lay Muslims. Are there issues? Do they acknowledge issues? Of course. I found that every single interviewee was very well informed on the shortcomings of AI. If anything, each AI platform has this one sentence that, hey, this is AI, might make some mistakes. So they don't use, lay Muslims don't use AIs or LLMs as panacea. It's not that, oh, I will find the absolute truth there. But what it does, it makes you conscious that there is no absolute truth. Something that previous generations of Muslims that were experiencing or shaping their religious identity in their localities were not aware of. In today's world, especially with AI, people know that there is not just one answer, one truth. There are multiple ones, and it's my responsibility to dig further and search and find them. Also, the element of bias. Yes, it is there. Yes, it is documented. Although I will tell you, if I have the time, do I have time to give you one example? I don't want to eat the time of my colleagues. So there was one female interviewee that when I asked her about bias, she was very upset. She was, no, they are biased. I said, okay, what? Give me an example. And she said, I asked about homosexuality in Islam and told me that homosexuality is forbidden in Islam. I was like, good, I'm with you. But in official Islam or traditional Islam, or we can play with definitions, you understand what I mean. Is homosexuality something that is being embraced? And she was like, well, no, not really. But we do have some currents now, like progressive Islam, that they give different views on the topic. I said, so the machine was not wrong. The machine has been fed the official element. So there is the element of bias, but there are layers over layers that we can unfold about that. Back to the bias. Lay Muslims are very aware of the bias of the machine, but they're also aware of the bias of the preachers. The ulama, the imams, they are biased themselves because they come from a specific community, from a specific madhab or a specific sect. So the element of bias when it comes to the faith, was not something new. It's not something that bothers the users. Almost everyone was very conscious that it's just a tool. It's not a robot. It's not a humanoid that will come and give me the absolute knowledge. It's a tool, and it's my responsibility to learn how to use it, which will take us, I believe, here. Sorry, I speak like flowing. Yeah, I don't check actually what I'm saying. Yes. Before I talk about the consciousness element, what I found on the social media research is that the community teaches each other. Muslims teach each other, especially on Reddit. So there was a discussion where there were environmental concerns, like the water. What happens to the water when we use AIs? I have to admit, I had never thought the specifics of the water. I knew that it's wasting water, but I had never thought about the specifics. And then another user was explaining in a very gentle and very educational way that, hey, it's like the heating system in your house. There is a huge pool of water which is being recycled. So it's not eating new water. The same with prompts and glitchings. People were teaching each other that, look, the answer, the quality of the answer depends on the vocabulary you will use for the question. So the more specific your question, the more accurate will be the answer. So people train each other on how to use AI, which is good. On the theological element, again, although the non-religious academic publications have these, the main fear is that, oh, we shouldn't use AI because it will become conscious, it will eat us all, we will not exist anymore. Muslims don't have this issue. None of the interviewees expressed this issue. And when we discussed it, they all gave the same answer that, hey, consciousness comes from Allah. It cannot be ever in a machine. Therefore, AIs will never become conscious. So we don't fear that element. Again, as I said, it is a tool which, the element of responsibility, this is very, very important element when I study Muslim populations, because there is a part of Muslims that they want to have the responsibility of shaping their own religious identity, but there is a small number of people that they don't want that. One of the interviewees that they said, no, I will never ask AI, I will go to the Imam and I will take the answer. And when I said, why? When you know that the Imam can be biased, said, because then the responsibility of my action goes to the Imam. If the Imam tells me, yes, eat, I don't know, bananas, and I eat the bananas, and this is haram, that the haram is not with me, it's with the Imam that told me. So this was a very interesting finding about how the element of responsibility makes people avoid AI. The other element that made especially male interviewees want to either totally reject AI or emphasize so much on the need of going to the mosque and talking to the Imam was the element of companionship. And I have to say, there were males, Muslim males that they lived in diaspora and they were of older age. So they wanted to go to the Imam and have a good evening, spending the evening talking, chatting. They wanted the human element, which became one of my questions. So if AI somehow replace someday the Imams, the ulama, can this happen? Everyone said, no, it cannot. From AI, we take the information and we take guidance to search deeper. From the ulama and from the imams, we take the human element, the human touch, the contact. But we want the ulama to update themselves and start being more transparent. One of the elements of why women don't go to the, or don't question, this was why they don't discuss with the imams. It was like, if I question the imam, if I tell the imam that, but I have read Amina Wadud, which says something totally different, the imam will get offended. The imam will blame me. So my knowledge seeking becomes somehow something bad. With AI, if the AI gives me a wrong answer and I respond like, hey, that's not correct, the AI will not get offended. So overall, and with this I close, I'm very quick to finish. Boom, I think I will go here. Yeah, the overall finding. Who interprets the text, who gives the knowledge, who shapes the knowledge? becomes questionable. People, will the ulama, will the imams ever be replaced by AI? No, they will not, because humans need humans. However, AI is just a tool. People know it's a tool. People know that they need to train themselves on how to use it. And with the interviews, I found the feelings. Feelings play a very important role. Those people who need the human touch, those people who are scared of the human contact for whatever reason. So my overall finding in a sentence would be that lay Muslims treat AI based on what their emotions and their spiritual and emotional needs and capabilities are. That was all, and this is the last, because boop, just because I liked it. I really like this picture. I don't know why, but I really, really liked it. And thank you so much for listening patiently.
Thank you so much. Our final speaker on the panel is Christoph Günther. He is Heisenberg Professor of Religious Studies with a focus on religious media practices at the Department of Religious Studies at the Universität Erfurt. Trained in Islamic studies, history, and Arabic, his research and teaching touch upon religion and digital media, visual and material culture, as well as social change and the role of religio-political actors in it. His current research focuses on the ways Muslim actors design audiovisual mediations on social media platforms and how Muslim practitioners engage with those videos and images in their daily religious and media practices. He's the author of Entrepreneurs of Identity, the Islamic State's Symbolic Repertoire, published in 2022, as well as co-editor of Jihadi Autovisuality and its entanglements, meanings, aesthetics, and appropriations, published by Edinburgh University Press in 2020. And Disentangling Jihad, Political Violence, and Media, also published by Edinburgh in 2023. His talk today is Images of the Unimaginable, AI Visions of Paradise and Hell.
While it is being set up, thank you so much, Maria, for the kind introduction. Thank you to the organizers for making this happening. And I'm really honored to be able to be on this panel with wonderful colleagues. And I hope that my talk will complement what they have been presenting earlier on. Thank you. Thank you so much. So as Maria has told you, the current focus of my research is on contemporary audiovisual dawah, or the ways in which Muslim actors employ images and videos on social media platforms to articulate their interpretations of how Islam should be lived, interpreted, and proclaimed, as well as how Muslims engage with these media in their everyday lives. And as they do, they are confronted with a vast range of between feature-long YouTube formats and short clips on Instagram and TikTok, each of which provides a platform for Muslims to, among other things, of course, also talk about their faith, religious practice, religious norms, values, beliefs, and as well as on which people, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, obtain information about Islam and Muslim life. AI systems more broadly have become, so this is what I will be speaking about, and obviously I will skip this short introduction. So AI systems more broadly have become an integral part of the production and dissemination of religious knowledge, ranging from large language models used as chatbots. As you can see here, the Australian Muslim convert Lily J has become famous on Instagram and TikTok in particular for using ChatGPT as a conversation partner, as a co-locutor, and even advertises ChatGPT as being 100% free and 100% the truth. And what she does is interacting with it and asking it for to basically confirm her choice to have become a Muslim, and asking questions such as, if you could choose, ChatGPT, if you could choose between becoming a Christian or becoming a Muslim, what would you do? And then the chatbot, in an edited video, of course, answers, I would take the Shahada. And then she's stunned by it, and even is featured in videos by very prominent Muslim. I'm not sure what is wrong with the. Is that best? This is real. This is real. So if you look for her profile on either Instagram or TikTok, you can see these videos. And of course, I mean, what is being presented, or what we are being presented with there, is an edited video made as if it was just a spontaneous conversation between her and ChatGPT. So as if she was just picking up her phone, choosing to ask the chatbot this question, and miraculously it would turn out to be 100% true. And even Mufti Menk, who's the head of the Fatwa Council of Zimbabwe, but also has emerged as quite a prominent figure on several social media platforms, has even featured one of her videos in one of his talks. And so there's a kind of connection where both parties seem to be profiting from. So this is one side of it. So Sofia has talked about the fatwa robots at the Grand Mosque in Mecca and Medina too. So and these robots are.
I think
yes.
we are having an issue with your screen share going to Zoom, so I'm gonna try to.
Okay.
I don't know why that's. Let's just like restart the share. You just got a flag from online to just. But. It's not the correct one. There is a presentation from.
How about now?
Yeah,
Work? Okay.
Better?
Thank you.
Thank you for fixing this. Recently, Zoom doesn't seem to be liking my presentations. These robots, such as Monara and Monara 2, are designed to provide fatwas to pilgrims. And from that on, we also see AI-generated images used to illustrate sermons that are recorded live in mosque settings or community center settings, and would then be uploaded to YouTube, and these AI-generated images will be used as illustrations to what I would call AI-generated avatars who talk to us on various social media platforms as if another human would talk to us. So they function as kind of co-locutors, or people who emulate the human element in a sermon, but only that they are entirely AI generated, from what they speak about to their voice to how they look like. So, and of course, this is critically debated in the Muslim community, ranging from more lay Muslims warning us, using this particular example of an AI-generated avatar to produce videos that would warn us against buying too easily into what we are being told, and what kind of narratives are being distributed there, what kind of religious knowledge is produced and distributed through these videos, ranging to more conservatively leaning Muslim scholars, Sunni Muslim scholars, that warn against using AI to produce images writ large. So this is some sort of the range of aspects and phenomena we are talking about, or that I find in my research. So what I want to talk about today, however, are two examples. The first example is, in a sense, an ideal, typical example in the Weberian sense that I would just roughly describe as a feature-length narrative type. It is a 44-minute long video published on August 19, 2025 on the YouTube account Religious Story TV, which prouds itself to be the #1 most watched Islamic channel on YouTube, and has received about 2.3 million views by today, which is not a lot, but still measured by YouTube standards, quite a decent number of views. Edits of the video can be found on TikTok and Instagram, although most of them are being disseminated by other users. So users take parts of this video, re-edit, and then upload it to their own TikTok channels in order to some sort of profit from the I would think for the German channel, indeed. But I was not able to calculate the whole number of viewers. It would always let me, because it checked my IP address, so it would always lead me back to the German channel of this YouTube channel or YouTube account. So however, as Religious Story TV, as an account, it offers a variety of similar videos, with some of them in feature length up to 1 hour and 15 minutes, with subtitles in 27 languages, which present narratives derived from the Quranic text and Hadith, and typically attract an audience size in the mid-range of 6 digits within a couple of months. Also, the account owners are keen not only appeal to YouTube's recommendation algorithms and link their media to a wider body of religious knowledge production on the platform by using specific hashtags that are unfortunately not really visible there. I apologize for that, but also they are keen to prove that their production is grounded in the Quranic text, providing cues, and this is the list that you can see here. So these are all cues to the Quranic text and the respective surahs that they have listed here in order to make sure to prove where or what the textual sources for their videos or for this specific video are. And therefore, they describe this video as being, quote, authentic or based on authentic hadith and Islamic knowledge that every Muslim must know, quote end. Seemingly, but however, they would not specify these sources any further. So they would not provide links to any hadith collection or whatever they mean by Islamic knowledge that every Muslim must know, and where this is gathered from. So I will now play a small part of the video so that you can get an impression for yourself, and then present my preliminary interpretation. And since this is ongoing research, I'm very keen to hear your thoughts about my interpretation, and also your critical thoughts about it. So let's get started. Now, we are not hearing anything. So I'm not sure why this is. Is this connected to the speaker system? I'm sorry. We should have been checking this before. So, but if the sound is missing, we will of course miss half of the sensory experience.
I think if you click on anything, it might play it.
And then a cold so deep it breaks the bones, freezing, terrifying, endless depths with holes full of dark smoke. The only food is the poison of the tree of Zambora. The drink is boiling water, and the walls of hell are surrounded by desires that people love. This is why people run toward it without even realizing. There is fear, pain, regret, no hope, and worst of all, endless loneliness. Where every chain is held by 70,000 angels, and before that, the great day of judgment. Masha. You are watching religious story TV, a truth that every Muslim must know and will surely face. Subscribe to the channel. If you are ready, let's begin. Israfil takes a deep, very deep breath for the first time. Then he presses his lips to the surah, and that terrible sound, that frightening sound.
So what I would like to draw your attention to is not so much the narrative that is being unfolded here, but since I'm interested in the audiovisual composition, I would like to focus on one specific aspect, and just to quickly summarize. So what the video does is it summarizes the descriptions of the Day of Judgment and hell in particular, as they are scattered throughout the Quranic text and the Ahadith compilations, and especially in eschatological handbooks. The video employs a deep, calm English AI narrator voice as it talks about Judgment Day and lists the punishment that individuals and groups of people can expect to face depending on their transgressions, including verbatim quotes from the Quranic text and references to the respective verses. Visually, it illustrates these eschatological expectations using at times graphic images accompanied by an acoustic background composed of low frequencies and bass lines, while the sounds described in the narrative are not audible. So if they talk about screams, we don't actually hear them, right? So this is some kind of a lag in the sensory experience that we are confronted with. Overall, the video's producers link the narrative to constant reminders to follow their channel, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, to salvation anxieties, as they exhort people to return to the right path, not only themselves, but also to share this video and urge other Muslims, their friends and families and people they would know to do likewise by sending this video to your family and friends. Quote out. So, as the primary focus of my research is the audiovisual design of it, I would like to focus briefly on the depiction of the angel Israfil. I will skip this here. Who is not named in the Quranic text, but is mentioned in numerous eschatological treatises and books because it is he who is, according to Muslim tradition, positioned below God's throne and blows the trumpet or sword in Arabic on the day of resurrection 3 times. According to his privileged position, eschatological reports based on As-Suyuti and Abu Shaykh describe Israfil in detail as having 4 wings, for instance, and a wonderful voice, making him the muazzin of the people of heaven. These and other traits of textual traditions have also informed visual representations of Israfil in works such as Ajaib al-Makhluqat wal Gharaib al-Mawjudat, for instance, of course differing depending on the time and place of their creation. So what you see in below left is a copy of the work probably made around the late 14th century in Baghdad, whereas you see another copy of it made in in the Ottoman lands around 1750, where you could clearly see differing visualizations of that angel figure. And of course, in the Siyar al-Nabi, also produced in the Ottoman Empire. It's another type of depiction which appeals to the audience, right? So whoever created these illuminated manuscripts, these artists were living at a certain place and at a certain time, and therefore produced whatever they were informed. Their depictions were informed by their own life, right? And I think this is I would like to take up this argument again towards the conclusion of my talk. So, however, when we talk about the depiction of Israfil in this video, we can see. I mean, if you want to simply ignore the gibberish Arabic script, so it doesn't make any sense, but it appears to be Arabic, or it wants to appear. But so this angel figure is more informed by Christian iconography and computer game iconography, such as of Might and Magic 6 or the statue of the Archangel Michael in Kiev that you see here. So, and I will get back to this point towards the end of my talk. So, and what is interesting to see how people react to that in their comments. And besides the many comments that would praise the videos producers for their wonderful work and how they allow people to actually immerse themselves in the narrative and allow themselves to also enhance their own imagination, there are some people who are critical of it because, as some of them said, it is requested if you please avoid showing the angels' faces and the angels all together. It is not right, and we do not know how the angels look, so please avoid showing the angels and prophets and faces, because nobody but Allah sallallahu alayhi wa ta'ala subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge about his angels best, so please avoid it. It is a matter of concern, and like comments too. So I wanted to show you another example, but for matters of time, I might do that quite shortly, which is an AI-enhanced slideshow, or what I would call it. Beautiful facts about Jannah in Islam. It is a TikTok video that received 6 million views within a couple of months' time, which is measured by TikTok standards, not that much, but still it stands out, certainly on this particular account. So what it features is a sound loop of computer-created bird singing sounds, and you would have a slideshow of these pictures, also going in loop. Again, AI-created imagery that would show us the beauty of paradise as envisioned or imagined by the Muslim creator. And what I find so interesting about it is that some of the depictions and the narratives, so most of them are taken either from the Quranic text or the Hadith, seem to be in a mismatch to each other. For instance, if you look at the top right picture with the atrium, so the narrative or the text says, the rivers of Jannah do not flow in valleys, they flow above the ground. The rivers of Jannah flow without trenches, they pass by the surface of the land. So, but if you look at this particular image, it doesn't show what is described in the text. So again, AI image creating tools just lack in their potential to visually represent what people try to get across, or the videos producers lack in their ability to design their prompts in a way so that the AI image creation tool indeed could show what they intend to show. So coming to my conclusion. First of all, and this is obvious, people, of course, use digital tools to express and negotiate religious identities, norms, values, and beliefs. AI image creation tools, as they have become low cost and high speed production tools, reshape social media, aligning with platform logics. Faceless, or what I would think of as faceless accounts, challenge traditional Islamic leadership. We do not know who produces these videos, based on what body of knowledge, what is in it, what is distributed through it. And of course, content creators make choices in texts and visuals and sound, and thereby also shaping their audience's imagination. This is at least what I'm interested in, and what my interlocutors in the ethnographic part of my research tell me, that visuals and audiovisual media in particular have a powerful force to also shape our own imagination. If I think back of my own childhood, where I was brought up not in a religious household, but I was confronted with illustrations of biblical stories in a Bible for children. And these images somehow last in my own imagination, in my own thinking of how Jesus looked like and how he went to Jerusalem and so on, right? And so I suspect that, first of all, these images have a specific power to them, also to shape people's imaginations, although, and thereby raising the question of how AI image creation tools that were not trained on what we might refer to as traditionally Islamic bodies of knowledge, including illuminated manuscripts produced by Muslims themselves, but rather were trained on images that are simply digitally available, such as computer game imagery, Christian iconography in the West. So how they shape Muslims' understanding and imagination of eschatological figures and eschatological events, but also of the formative phase of their religion, right? You find a host of videos named Point of View, You Wake Up in Medina during the times of the Prophet, where you could see a complete fantasy of this world. However, people seem to be at least partly buying into this narrative and having their own imaginations shaped by it. So, as I said, Islamic content is visually diverse, not always rooted in what we might refer to as Islamic knowledge. However, it shapes how Muslims think about their own religion and how they imagine certain events in the past of their religion, but also in what might be called Muslim futures, including eschatology. Thank you so much.